First of all, anybody ever made compost teas? This is a compost tea maker. I highly recommend it. There's a company out of Oregon called GrowingSolutions.com. The thing I like about it, you fill it with water. It has these things last a lifetime. They have a 10-gallon one you can use in your backyard.
They also come with geckos.
They give you geckos. But it has a stainless steel basket. You fill this 3/4 full with aged mulch, a couple worm castings. You hang it in the water. The key thing with these units has a little tiny air compressor. You plug in, and it actually has an air hose that goes down inside here, has a diaphragm on the bottom, oxygenates the water. The millions of microbes, 24 to 48 hours, populate to billions. You can buy compost teas in your nurseries now, at mediocre value, because it's been sitting in a gallon jug for 4 months on the shelf, no oxygen, everything's dead. So this you can make and use. And if you have mealybugs, scale, aphids, you start spraying this or watering your plants with it in your garden, you'll see in 3 or 4 days they go away. Cane spider?
Cane spider just ran across there.
Yeah.
That's my weakness as well.
That's the state bird. That's the name. So anyway, worms. If you go online and Google Worm Factory 360, Worm Factory 360, for $130 delivered anywhere in the U.S., they'll give you 4 bins. They're 2 foot by 2 foot 8 inch deep. You stack them. They're on legs. They give you a lid. They give you a rake. They give you a thermometer. 80-page booklet how to do worms. You simply put your kitchen garbage in there with worms. From them, for 20 bucks, you can buy a pound of red wigglers. And you'll never have to buy worms again. And go back in about 5-6 days, your garbage is gone. They turn it into worm castings.
Worm Factory 360?
Worm Factory 360. Just the number 360. So, in here, this is Home Depot. This is a masonry bin from Home Depot to make mortar mix in. We have 6 of these going off. We drill 1/4-inch holes all through the bottom, about 50 of them to let water out. But in the top here, I'll show you, this is all cardboard that comes through our facility. We shred it up, we put it back in here. Cardboard is cellulose, it's paper, right? It's trees. So we put it on top here, usually about 2 inches thick, and they consume this. They actually turn this in along with the garbage. So when I first bought worms, I flew to Alimano Farms in Honolulu. Bought 10 pounds of, these are called Indian blues. It's a tropical blue-grade worm. Bought 10 pounds. Came back on Hawaiian Airline in my carry-on suitcase with 10 pounds of worms. They let me bring them back on the plane, not check them. So in here, let's see what's down in here. There's a whole bunch of them in here. You can see the worms.
Oh, yeah.
See all the worms here? Now these are a little blue-gray worm, okay? They're smaller than red wigglers, and these are the young ones. The adults are over here right now. The adults will get 2 to 4 inches long, but they're a pecking order. And the adults are the young ones are put over here because I just put food over here Sunday. So now the adults are over here eating, and these guys get the leftovers. So, but there's a lot of worms in here. Here you go. You want to hold one? You want to hold one? Yeah?
I like to hold worms.
There you go. There's one. So when you get done, you just put them back in here. So that's a red wiggler. I mean, that's an Indian blue. And they don't like sunlight, so they're going to try and walk away from you. Okay? Now, if you're feeding worms, you can take kitchen garbage, fruits and vegetables, you chop it up and put it in here. And I learned a trick about 25 years ago. I go to Costco and bought the Ninja, the food austerizer. You cut up fresh garbage and put it in here, and about a day or two, it starts to rot, and methane's out, it starts steaming. It gets too hot. The worms all go to the side for a week, then they come back and eat it. So we pre-digest our garbage in 5-gallon pails in the backyard with a lid on it. Let it just rot. We take it open, we put it in water in the Ninja, blend it up like a smoothie. We pull this back, pull back half of this side like this, and I cover this 1 inch or 2 thick with a smoothie. I just did it last
Don't eat the worms.
Friday, I guess it was. And it's gone. I mean, it's just all gone. There's bugs in here, actually, but the whole thing's gone. So now I need to do it again this weekend. So the whole point by doing that, make it like a smoothie, they can pass it through their body instead of having to chomp down on big chunks of food. Triples the production. So eventually, as we're adding it in here, it finally gets full and I have no more space to add more garbage. So it's time to harvest the worm castings. Again, 1 cup of this to a tree, 25 years ago, they went from 10 months out of the year to 12 months out of the year producing fruit. 1 cup of this. It doesn't take buckets full. So we'll come up with an empty one of these bins, a flat shovel, and I'll cut out the top 2 inches and put it into the empty bin to recycle it. This least done stuff. Down below will be solid worm castings and worms. We take it out in the sun on the concrete and on a tarp. We flip it over. We have a 2-foot umbrella. You can just drop them right back in there. 2-foot umbrella. You spread out the worm castings in the sun. You wait 30 minutes, and all the worms start heading for the shade. They don't like the sun. So then on the side, you can rake out your worm castings and separate it. If you see a worm, you pick him up. He goes in the empty bin to recycle them. I bought worms 25 years ago. I've never bought another worm since then. You just drop them in there. Just turn your hand upside down. And he comes off of there.
How many of these bins do you got running?
I do 5 to 6 at a time. So this one's getting time almost to harvest. I can do it 1 or 2 more times. So from one of these, I get 4 5-gallon buckets of worm castings.
Wow.
Do 4 acres of trees from one of these. It doesn't take much. It does not take much. And I will say, everybody's got Starbucks, yeah? Worms love coffee grounds, not coffee grounds. So you go in, I have the one in Kauai trained. You go in there and you ask them, can I have your coffee grounds? This was this full, it was, they'll give you the whole bag because they're just throwing them in the dumpsters. But I have them trained, they separate now and they keep the Brazilian organic blend because my worms only eat their organic blend now. So really, really easy to do. And if you take worm coffee grounds and pack it solid in the corner, come back in a week or 2, open it up, it'll be solid worm eggs. They love to propagate in those things. We usually just sprinkle it in here along with it, and they just eat it as food. You would not do the whole, all coffee grounds. So online you see a lot of different opinions. Never citrus, never eggshell. I think it's not true. You go out in a citrus orchard, I guarantee you there's worms in the ground underneath those trees. But you not do all lemon peels or all orange peels. But you make a mixture of stuff, they'll eat it. I mean, a cow falls in the ground in the forest, they're going to consume the cow eventually. Whatever falls in the ground, they'll consume it. We feed them fruits and vegetables, so really easy to do. All right.
What are the bugs in there?
There's a whole on Facebook Live, and there's things on our we did. During COVID, we were doing 1.5-hour things on organics. There's a whole thing where we talk about this, how to do it.
Cool.
And I highly recommend Worm Factory 3. I know the owner in Washington, and they give you an 80-page booklet how to do it. So, all right.
What are the bugs that are in there?
There's all kinds of bugs. There's roly-poly bugs. I call them roly-poly bugs. The ones that roll up in balls. These are the little tiny ones. So the soil is a living organism. So a lot of people, I got bugs, so I have to kill them. When they die, the worms are going to eat those bugs and make them into fertilizer, so just leave them alone. Even when the aged compost breaks down, there's different funguses that will come after it ages. And there's one that's called middle ceces. It's like a white hair. And people will call, I'm free. Oh, God, I got this white fungus in my It's a great sign. It means you have a really good compost, Otherwise, it wouldn't be there, So the other thing is, they are nocturnal. They don't like sunlight. I'm going to put this on top of here. So if I don't cover this, they'd all be down below waiting for nighttime. By covering this 24/7, they're processing. So you can do it in Minnesota. You can do it in the winter. Just put it in your garage, but cover it with a blanket to keep it warm.
What's the lowest temperature they can
When I grew up in Missouri, in St. Louis, Mrs. Patton was my next door neighbor back in the 50s. She was about 80 years old. She'd come out her back door and she had a steel plate in the ground with a foot pedal. She'd step on it and drop her garbage in the ground, right?
Yep.
Kids, we didn't know what she was doing. Crazy Mrs. Patton putting her garbage in the ground. In the springtime, her garden would come, take the steel lid off. There was a 4-foot pit. It wouldn't freeze that low. She had worms down there 4 feet. He would scoop it out, get the worm castings, spread it on her roses, blue ribbon roses every year, because she was using worm castings back in the 50s and 60s. That's my mom. I had no idea what she was doing, but again, she did it deep enough.
It's deep enough, so it's warm enough.
It's warm enough. So, but in your garage, you don't want it to get down below 50 or 60, 40. You don't want it to be 32 degrees. Let me put it that way. You don't want it to freeze.
It's colder than that. So.
If it's colder than that, but if you have it in your garage and you cover it with a double blanket, it'll keep it warm in there. Okay, so. Let's go over here.